What's up, my fellow LTD addicts? Let's talk about Fleeq. Fleeq is an online video creation tool that helps you make explainer videos. But it doesn't end there. Once you've created your explainer videos, you'll be able to turn them into a wiki, knowledge base, or even a full-blown online course so that you can train your customers or your employees. Fleeq is currently on AppSumo with a lifetime offer. Now, it is one of the most expensive offers I've seen on AppSumo in quite some time. So is it worth the $99 price tag? You're gonna find out in this video, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Dave from thatltd.life. If you're into software deals with lifetime offers, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you are notified when new reviews are posted. Today, we're talking about Fleeq. Here I am over on the AppSumo page. You can see that a single code is $99 and there is actually unlimited stacking for this deal, which means you can spend all of your money on Fleeq if that's what you desire. Now, I will say that you need to understand some nomenclature before you really get into this review. A Fleeq is a video. Fleeq decided to rebrand video as Fleeq. It's a special kind of video that they've created, and we'll learn more about that in the review. So for 99 bucks, here's what you're getting. Access to Fleeq's business plan. Now, essentially, this is a great deal if you like the software because you get unlimited Fleeqs or videos, and you can create as many courses and have as many people learn from you as you like. You can also have as many wikis. The real restrictions come in how many brands you can use it on, as well as how many people can do the creation of the content. So what you're looking at for $99 is getting one team member and 3 seats. You can see that that scales. If you add a second code, you'll get an additional team and additional 6 seats, all the way up to 9 codes here, which is the most that AppSumo is letting you check out with, which is obviously 9 team members and 27 seats. However, AppSumo did say you get unlimited stacking. So if you need more than this, perhaps you're an agency with a lot of clients who could take advantage of Fleeq, then you're free to stack as many as you like. All right, let's hop over into the software now that you know what we're looking at and see how this thing actually works. This is the Fleeq dashboard. I've got a pretty new account here. You can see I don't have really any activity going on, but you would be able to see how many people have viewed your videos. You can collect feedback from those videos, and then you can go ahead and create some new content down here below. Whether I want to create a new Fleeq, remember that's a video, or a new course, I could do that here. So I've got a Fleeq added already. This is a demo Fleeq. Let's jump in and see how this editor works. So if you're coming from maybe more of a presentation background and you're thinking of things like Keynote or PowerPoint, Fleeq's gonna have a little bit of similarities where you've got all of your slides over here on the left, and then you can do your editing on the right. To add a new slide, which Fleeq calls a step, just click the plus button at the bottom of the list. And from here, you can upload your own screenshots, graphics, or if you're using their Chrome extension, you can do screenshots and have it automatically loaded into this editor. And you can see I've already got some screenshots. I was playing around with that before I started recording. All right, so I'm not going to add any new content to this Fleeq, but I do want to show you how the editing works. So let's go ahead and I'm going to choose this third slide down here, and we can see how it works. Over here on the right, I've got the visual effects editor showing. Now this is where you can start to call out certain elements of your graphic. So here, this is called the spotlight, where it's highlighting where to click in the screenshot. If I wanted to change this, let's remove the spotlight actually, and we'll just rebuild it. Let's go ahead and add an effect. Instead of doing a spotlight, I'm actually gonna choose an arrow. All right, so I'm gonna add this arrow and I can go ahead and move it wherever I want. And let's just turn the arrow a little bit, have it going this way. And there we go. And I can clearly see I want you to choose the settings option. If I wanted to change the color of the arrow, I'm given 3 options. I can choose black, gray, or white. I'll leave it as black, and I can actually change the style here. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the narration features. To do that, I'm gonna click on this little microphone, and I can just type in or paste in my script for this slide right in this box. If I want to add a speech break, I can do that. So let's say I wanted to have a break after I say the word click. I can click on this and there it goes. It makes a little symbol which indicates to the artificial intelligence to wait for a half a second. I can change the speech rate. So if I want a slow talker or a fast talker, I have this little slider I can play with. And then I can choose my narrator here. By default, this one has a guy named John. I can change that, of course, by clicking on Replace Narrator, and I'm given a list of about 10 different narrators in the English language, both a mixture of male and female voices from different English-speaking countries all over the world. You can see there's someone from the UK, we have US voices, as well as Great Britain and Australian voices.
Hi, I am Amy, and I can easily narrate your guide.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
This is a new step. Do not forget to change the text.
Now, it doesn't end there. The rest of the world is not left out. There are all of these different languages that I can choose. Let's say I want a Chinese narrator. I'll go ahead and choose Chinese. It's going to update the narration voices. This does take a second. And now I can, I've got this narrator right here speaking Mandarin. I can click Replace Narrator. Now it looks like Chinese only has one narrator, but most of the languages that I messed around with had at least a male and a female option. So that is pretty impressive. Here we're in Dutch. Let's see what options they have. There's a male and a female option. So actually it looks like there's 2 different female options for Dutch. Pretty impressive. We can preview what they sound like by clicking on this little speaker button. And if I want to add background music, I can do that. Now, it's really nice to add the background music with the auto-generated narration. It almost is passable as real. So there's a bunch of different styles of music here, probably about 30 different tracks you can choose, or you can upload your own custom background music. However, if none of this is good enough for you and you want to use your own voice, I totally understand. You can choose custom narration here, and you can just upload your audio files or record them right into the editor. Let's head back to the editor. I'm going to leave this on auto. We'll switch it back to English. And as soon as that updates, we'll go over to the visual editor. All right, here we are back to the visual editor. If I want to get back to those settings at any point, that is just the settings tab right over here. We've got visual and content followed by settings. Now I can add closed captions, or I can have it automatically pull in the closed captions from the script. That's pretty cool. I can have a different duration for each slide. However, by default, you're going to be using the audio-based duration most of the time, which just makes sense. Now we can also create transitions between different slides. So we can do fades, or what they call a fade plus a gap. If you have 2 slides with the same image, you can do something called a magic move, which will basically just make the image resize and make a smooth transition between those 2 slides. That's it for the editor. You can see it's pretty simple and straightforward to use. I'd actually say it's fast and I like it.
Here is an example of a basic Fleeq video. We'll explain how to add a signature to your Gmail account. Just go into your inbox and click the settings wheel. Now let's click on the settings link. Here is your settings menu. Scroll down to where you see the signature section. You can either write down your signature or use an image. If you choose an image, click on the image button on the toolbar. You are able to drag and drop your signature here, or import it from Google Drive. You are able to adjust the size, brand recognition, text and more. We're all good. From now on your emails will now be sent with a signature. We do hope this helps. For any other issue, don't hesitate to contact support.
One of the most powerful features of Fleeq is the ability to translate your Fleeq into multiple languages and have them all kind of coexist. So for this Fleeq, I've already gone ahead and translated it from English into Spanish. Let's look at how to do that. I'm just going to hit add language here, and it's going to ask me if I need to save, which I actually like that it does this. A lot of apps now autosave, which means that if you're experimenting with things, it's not always super easy to get back to where you were. So maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I actually like that you have to save things. All right, here is the localization features inside of Fleeq. You're going to choose the origin language to begin with, and I've already done that here. So all I need to do is add the new language. Let's say I wanted to translate this over into Dutch. I could do that. Just hit the continue button. It gives me the option to have different captions than the narrator. So that's kind of nice. I have some flexibility there. And then you can have the narrator choices. So I went ahead and hit translate here, and it's loading up the new version. And now I should have a Fleeq or a video that is in English, Spanish, and Dutch. All right, so Dutch was added to my Fleeq. You can see the power here. If you're serving customers all over the world, they're going to be able to understand how to use your products without having to hire a translator to create custom videos in their language. So let's go ahead and close this. You can see the drop-down menu here now has all three options. I'll go ahead and choose the Spanish version. That's going to load up. And as soon as it does, I'll show you that the translation has been done. If I go over to the captions or the narration, it has translated it from English into Spanish. Now, how good is the translation? I couldn't tell you because I don't speak any other languages, unfortunately. So maybe someone out there watching this video is multilingual and they can comment and let us know how good the translations are. Even if it's not perfect, personally, I'm still okay with that. I think it's better than nothing at all, as long as it's not making some fatal mistakes that make you sound really bad. Now, once you're done creating your Fleeq, of course, you're gonna wanna share that with the world. The first thing you wanna take a look at is the privacy settings. I have this Fleeq set to public currently, but the other options are private, which would mean they have to be a learner on your platform, or you can have it as a lead magnet, essentially requesting someone to opt in to be able to view the video. So let's go ahead and hit this share button over here, and I can see my options for actually getting people this content. I can either use a URL that I could, of course, post anywhere, maybe sharing on social media, or I could embed the video right onto my website. So that's the second option right down here. For embedding, you do have two options. You can have it be inline or as a pop-up, where essentially someone would be able to click some text and have the Fleeq pop up. You could even use an image thumbnail as the pop-up. There is also a loop down here, which would just keep the Fleeq playing in continuity. All right, so that is the overall Fleeq video editing experience. I think it's pretty great. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the other features built into Fleeq. I'm gonna head back to the library and we'll investigate a little bit. Let's look at playlists. Playlists are essentially collections of Fleeqs that connect to each other. So when one video is finished, the next one autoplays, very similar to, say, a YouTube playlist. Now let's go ahead and look at the quizzes. The quizzes are set up to be multiple choice based. There's no other options for other types of questions, but you can have them be lead magnets. So if you wanted to have, say, a personality quiz on your website, Fleeq would actually be able to build that for you. Let's go ahead and look at the quiz editor here. And you can see over here on the left, we're gonna add questions. If I add a new question, it's very simple. You'll just ask the question that you want to choose. What is your favorite type of pet? And let's say answer 1 is a dog and answer 2 is a cat. And let's say your third answer might be a fish. And we'll go ahead and choose fish as the correct answer. For now, I'm not getting into that dog and cat debate, and we'll hit update. And now I've got 2 questions added to this quiz. And you can see we have some overall settings for the quiz, which is a headline. This will go at the top of your quiz. You can have a description for the quiz, and then you also add some text after someone submits. So we can change the overall color theme here. Now I don't like that I have to actually paste in a hex code. It looks like I should be able to click here and get a color picker, but you can't. You actually have to paste in a hex code. And you can turn on or off your team logo if you've uploaded one. All right, let's preview this quiz and see what it looks like. Here it is, pretty simple, kind of basic looking quiz. I'll go ahead and answer this. I think I have green and fish as my correct answers. And oh, it looks like I got one wrong. I can actually click here to view the answers because I've set an option to do that. It looks like I had blue was the best color. So here is that option to turn on and off, showing the quiz answers post submission. I can check or uncheck that. Once you're done creating your quiz, you can go ahead and change the privacy settings and go ahead and share, just like we looked at inside of Fleeq. You have the same options for public, private, or opt-in for your quizzes. And then hitting the share button, I've got to go ahead and save here. Hitting the share button just gives you a URL link that you can then share with other people. Let's go ahead and look at what that looks like. I'm actually going to open it up into a hidden window here, incognito window, and you can see there's the quiz. Let's see what the opt-in form looks like. I'm sure everyone wants to know what that looks like. I'll go change it to opt-in, hit save, and we'll go back to our incognito window and reload. And now I've got an opt-in form where I'd have to enter my email address before I was allowed to enter the quiz. Besides quizzes, we can also add GIFs. I think everybody knows what a GIF is. You can create them right inside of Fleeq. You can actually translate your Fleeqs into GIFs and your GIFs into Fleeqs. So that is pretty cool. Let's look at the editor here for this. I'm going to go ahead and add a step, and I can choose one of my images. I'll add this step. And you can see this is very similar to the Fleeq Creator, except I don't have narration options, right? Because GIFs don't have sound. So I've got the visual components where I can add effects. I can add those arrows that we were looking at. I can change the duration, how long this slide shows up, and then I can make a transition into the next slide. You can add your logo as a watermark down here at the bottom. And that's essentially it for the GIF Creator. Pretty simple. If you've got a series of images you just want to show as a GIF to maybe post on social media, this is a pretty useful tool for that alone. I could see this being a $39 deal in and of itself. Let's head back to the library. I'm going to discard my changes. And the last tab over here is for videos. Now, videos are useful when you're building out a course because maybe you want some of your material to be a Fleeq explainer video, but you'll also want to mix in some personality and have your face in the course, right? That makes it much more engaging. So you can go ahead and add a video over here. Really, all this is doing is linking up to either Vimeo or YouTube. So you need to be using one of those two video hosting platforms to be able to use this feature. You can see I've already added in one of my reviews from AppSumo here for Reboot. All right, so if I wanted to use this, of course, I can just get that link, but actually what I'd be doing is adding this to a course. Now, the next section we're gonna look at is the courses option, but before we do that, I'm actually gonna duplicate this Fleeq that we were playing with earlier. To do that, I'm gonna go over to these three dots and click it and choose duplicate. Now it's saying, do I want to duplicate it in team or duplicate it to another team? This is really cool. So if you have multiple teams for a larger company with many divisions, you'd be able to move one Fleeq to another team very easily. Here, I'm just going to choose it inside of the team, and I'll call this Fleeq 2 just for simplicity, and I'll duplicate the Fleeq. Here we go. It's copying it over. Okay, so now you can see we have two Fleeqs in our library. Let's head over to the courses section. So I've been playing around a little bit with the courses to see how it works. I've got a test course that I've already created, but you know what? Let's make one from scratch together. I'm gonna do create a course up here, this green button, and we'll call this demo. Now, I would like to note that when I created my first test course, I was not able to change the privacy settings after it was created. I don't know whether that's a feature or a bug. Perhaps it was just my own unique experience, but you might want to think twice about how you set the privacy. So for our purposes here, I'm going to leave this as public and I'll hit create. Now we're looking at here is the course builder, and this is incredibly simple and powerful. I can add categories over here, which I will label, say module 1. And you get the idea. Maybe you're making an 8 module course. You could go ahead and add 8 different headings. And then I add items underneath. I've got my Fleeqs that I'll add Fleeq 2. And maybe I want to also add a quiz. I've got a test quiz, but you can see this one is locked out. And that's because I set it to be an opt-in. All right, let's go ahead and choose this video here. And now I've got one module with a single Fleeq and a video added. If I want to add a new category, I'll just hit the new category button and I can call this module 2. And then I'd repeat the process of adding new items inside of this module. I'll add this other Fleeq. So now I have my course created. I have 2 modules with different lessons inside of each module. And let's take a look at what it looks like. I can either view it in this preview window or we can see it full screen. For now, I'm going to look at the preview window and you can see here's each module. There's a disclosure triangle to hide or show the content. And my lessons show up over here on the right. So I can go ahead and hit play. I can skip to the next lesson. This is pretty powerful. When I first saw this, by the way, that concerned me. It kind of stretched everything out, but if I hit the play button, it shows it in letterbox and actually looks pretty good. So what I love about this is how simple and fast it is to create an online course. If you need to train employees or your customers on how to use your products or services, the course creator inside of Fleeq is insanely powerful and fast. I'm really impressed with it. However, if you're thinking about making $1 million by selling a high-priced online course, Fleeq is not for you, and that's because there is no e-commerce functionality built into it. Sure, you could probably figure out some kind of way to charge people on your website and then manually add them to your Fleeq, and that might work, But if you're looking for kind of an all-in-one simple solution, there's no e-commerce here right now. All right, let's go ahead and close out of the course section. You can see how fast and simple it was to create. Before we move on to the next section of Fleeq, I did want to mention that you can change the theme color. There are 6 preset colors you can choose from, and you can also upload your own image if you'd like to use it as a thumbnail for your course. So here's what some of the other options look like. You can see they have a little bit of a gradient to them. I wish there was an option to add a hex code so you could have your brand colors be the theme color, but as it is right now, I think this will serve most people's needs. All right, let's take a look at the Wiki section here in the menu bar, and I think the best way to show you what the Wiki looks like is to see Fleeq's own implementation of it. If you click over here in the far right-hand corner, there is a question mark, and this is of course where you get all of the access to the help documents, and they have a wiki. So here we are on Fleeq's wiki, which is Fleeq's video knowledge base. Now you're using Fleeq to learn how to use Fleeq. How meta. If I scroll through, I can see that there's actually a little category selector over here that is highlighting the relevant section that I'm on. And if I wanted to learn about a section, let's say how to add a call to action, I click this and the relevant Fleeq will load. There it is. I'll click the play button and we can learn how to use Fleeq. All right, so that is what the wiki looks like. To get started creating a wiki, we're gonna need to give this a URL. I mentioned before, but I wanna reemphasize that you can add your own URL through the white labeling process. So this doesn't need to include the fleeq.io domain. For now, I'm gonna go with it and choose wiki as my URL. I'll give it a name and call it wiki as well. There is some privacy settings here that are the same as what we've been seeing. It's kind of nice that that's consistent across the entire platform. I'll go ahead and hit create and we'll see the wiki creation process here. I'm going to add categories. So basically you can see in the background already that it's going to look a lot like the example we just saw. And I'll go ahead and give it a category of how to, and we'll be as generic as possible, I guess. Add the category over here. Now to add a Fleeq, I've got this nice graphic telling me to go over here to click the add Fleeq button. I'll go ahead and choose one and let's go ahead and hit continue. You can see it shows up over here as the thumbnail. Now I can add new categories, continue to add Fleeqs, or I could do something like edit the headline up here and say something like client amp wiki, and I can even give it a subheadline if I want. Other nice touches include this search bar up here, and you can also add links if you want to add call to actions or additional navigation to your wiki. That's about it for creating a wiki. If you decide you need to give it a new URL, the settings option is up here, and you can go ahead and change it. You can have the Fleeqs show up in a new tab or as a pop-up window, and you can also change the theme color. Nicely here, they've allowed you to add your own hex code. Are you impressed with Fleeq yet? I gotta admit, it's winning me over. Let's go ahead and choose bar up here in the menu bar and take a look at what this is all about. So a bar is essentially a widget that's gonna live on the side of the screen offering to help your customers. Let's go ahead and create our first bar. I'm gonna add both of the Fleeqs we have in the library so far. So here we go. We've got our 2 Fleeqs that I just loaded in over in the left-hand column. And on the right, we have options for the bar. Now, what is this all about? Well, essentially, we're gonna have this widget over on the right-hand side of the screen. I can change this actually to be on the left if I prefer. When people click that, they're going to be able to search your Fleeqs for an answer to their questions. I can change this copy, of course, and I could say, search for answers, and you get the point. We can fill this in with whatever text we want. I can change the alignment of that as well. To see what this looks like, I'll just click the preview button, and we're gonna see what that bar looks like up on the top here. Let's go ahead and save this bar. We'll just call it demo for now, and we'll hit save. Let's look at the integration options here. I'll just click on integrate. You're given a few lines of code, and you essentially paste this on each page of your website that you want your widget to show up on. Pretty simple. Let's look at the last few options in the menu bar here. This is learners. It's a way to group together people who are going through your content and assign relevant content to them. I'll go ahead and create my first group, and I'll call this demo, and we'll make this a private group and go ahead and hit create. All right, so here we go. We would add our learners over here on this column, and we can assign content to have them go through it here in the right-hand column. When you're ready to share this with them, you would click use and you'll get a URL that you can send to them directly or maybe even embed on your website. When you're all done, you can actually share certificates with people to signify that they've gone through all of your material. All right, just a couple options here in the menu. Let's head over to progress. So here is the progress dashboard where I can see all of the people that have gone through my Fleeqs. I can choose them over here on the left, and I can see how much of the content they've consumed. So in this case, this was that Fleeq 2 that we made a little while back, and you can see there's a 10% retention rate, and I only made it through 5 seconds of the Fleeq. And you can also see a little bit of information. I'm using a desktop, I'm on a Mac, and I'm in the United States. We can also toggle on anonymous data, which will be for people who are not logged in when they view your Fleeqs. So this is pretty nice. I'm glad all the analytics are there. Let's head over to the reporting section where we get even more data. You can see from the screenshot here that you can create reports based on particular pieces of content and the users enrolled in them. So you can see how people are performing in your courses, your quizzes, and who's getting through the content you've assigned to them. Looks like it's a pretty powerful feature. I'm not going to dig too deep into it here in this video, just due to time. All right, before we wrap this thing up, I wanted to show you some of the settings in the back end so you know how customizable Fleeq is. I'm in the team settings right now where I can give my team a name. It's really nice. You can actually change this after the fact. Sometimes software locks you in here and you're not able to customize it. You can go over to domains and this is where you'd set up your CNAME so that you can have your own URL show up instead of the Fleeq URL. To do this, you would just type in the URL here. Of course, you'd have to own the domain, and then you'd make some changes at your registrar to redirect it over to Fleeq. Here's where you'd upload a favicon and a logo to white label Fleeq. You can change the visual appearance of the player and even add a privacy notice if you'd like. Now let's head over to the user section. This is where you would invite your additional team members. Of course, you can upgrade your plan at any point there. I'm definitely not very hard-handed with the upsells here, and I do appreciate that. And you can also add some third-party integrations, things like Google Analytics or Chat. They do support Intercom, Drift, Zendesk, Olark, and UserLike, which is pretty versatile. So by now, you should understand what Fleeq can and can't do. I gotta be honest with you, I usually don't like software that tries to do too much, and Fleeq really is walking that line just perfectly. It's a bit of a unicorn in a world of video creators. It allows you to create useful videos and transition them into full-blown courses in a matter of a few clicks. I'll admit it, I'm completely blown away. That said, there are still some things I don't like about Fleeq. It's slow to use. When you load a Fleeq, it takes 3 or 4 seconds before you can actually begin to play the content. I'm hoping that's related to a bit of the AppSumo effect, where maybe they're getting a lot of traffic right now, but I don't have enough information to say whether the platform is speedy or not. Another thing I don't like is that it's not actually playing videos when you're looking at a Fleeq. It's some kind of weird slideshow. The reason this matters to me is I like to watch my content at 1.5 or even 2x speed, and there's really no way to do that inside of Fleeq. If you're using some fancy Chrome extension to speed up your videos, that won't work either because it's really not playing a video. The features that really blew me away were, of course, the course builder as well as the localization. Now, I can't speak to the quality of the translations, but I've never seen anything that made it so simple to add additional languages to your videos. It's simply amazing. Overall, I'm going to give Fleeq a score of 9.1 out of 10. That's the highest score I've given to any LTD thus far in the brief history of that LTD.life. I can't really think of a business that couldn't find some kind of application of Fleeq. So to me, it's a must buy. Now, if you are going to grab Fleeq, you can use the link in the description down below. That is our affiliate link, which kicks us a little bit of money back and allows us to create these LTD reviews for you. If you like the video, make sure you click the like button so I know you appreciate the content. Leave me a question or comment down below and I'll get back to each and every one of you. See you in the next review.